What's up everybody, it's Shane here at Waiting to be Seen, and I want to welcome you to this week's video. If you followed me for a little while, then you know that I've done several tutorials for Adobe products with little tips and tricks here and there for this season and last season. And today is another opportunity for me to offer you up with some tasty tidbits, some little morsels that I believe are going to help you out if you are an After Effects user. Yeah, this will help speed up your workflow, no doubt. This is how we do it. You know, After Effects remains this industry standard app for motion graphic creation. And I think that it kind of makes it a little bit terrifying for new users. And part of the reason for that is because the learning curve for it is so steep. The fact is, you're going to keep learning new things for a long time. If you're just starting out with it, if you've been using it for 2, 3, 5 years, there's still going to be little bits and pieces of it that you're going to be learning. It's well worth the effort, but just know that you're going to be on a steep learning curve in these early months especially. So I'm really pleased to be able to share with you a quick video talking about 5 tips that are going to help that workflow. And look, there are plenty of tips out there. I find, at least, there are some that kind of fall into the category of more than others, if that makes sense. You start using these little hints and tips and shortcuts more than other ones that are available to you. And so today's video is very much talking about 5 of those kind of tips. So let's get to it. I have After Effects open at the moment, and I do have a template project that I've worked on before open. I bought this from VideoHive for a project that I worked on a little while ago. It's not mine. I don't own it. I don't own the rights to it. I'm not trying to make money off of it. I'm using this just for the sake of education, and the person that owns the rights to it still completely owns the rights to it. If you want to get access to this file to have a play around with it yourself, you're going to have to go to VideoHive and purchase it for yourself. And it could be well worth the effort. So consider doing that. I am just letting you know, and I'll put a link in the description below so that you can find it. One of the things that you might want to do is actually be able to have a look around this window. And the fastest way of doing that, if you don't know any other way, is to come up to the top here where you've got all of these tool selections that you can choose, and click on the hand. And then you can move around in your space like so. And then if you want to go back, you click on the selection tool to select whatever layer it is that you're working on. As you see, when you hover over the hand tool, there is the H button. So if I then press H, it changes it to the hand tool. And then if I go back to V, which is the selection tool, it goes back. So that alone would be useful, okay? But there's an even faster thing that you can do. Let's say I've got the type tool here, and I wanted to type something in, but then I just wanted to kind of have a look around and see how it's positioned. I can press H and then do that. Or you can do this, press and hold the space bar. If I do that, it then turns to the hand tool, and now I can navigate. I can do a quick pan around like so. And then when I release my mouse and release the space bar, it then automatically goes back to the tool that it was before. Tip number 2 is definitely one for the beginners, because as soon as you learn how to do this, I think that you're definitely well on your way to being an intermediate user. So if you're intermediate, you can probably just skip this, but I'm talking about RAM previews. Let's say I have this timeline here right now, and I just go to press spacebar. It's thinking. It's thinking pretty hard. You can see up here in the right hand corner, it's saying it's not real time. In Australia, 1 second of footage is 25 frames. If you're watching film, most of the time they talk about having 24 frames per second. In the US, it's generally 29.97, you know, round up to 30 frames per second. And so what After Effects has to do is it's going, okay, you've got this effect on frame 1, draw it. Next frame, draw it. Next frame, draw it. The RAM preview is how we get around that. So basically what we're doing now is we are allowing the program to generate a preview file for us to watch before it then plays it back for us in real time. And to begin a RAM preview is really easy. All you have to do is press 0, or you can press the RAM preview button that's on the far right of the preview panel. If you're an intermediate, welcome back. This was something that I learned just a little while ago. You can see here at the top, just above the layers, you've got the work area, and it says this is the in point and this is the out point. This is the start and this is the end. So having this tip up your sleeves is a really powerful tool. Sometimes we go to work with a layer and the layer is shorter than our timeline. So IBON is a shortcut hack that's going to quickly crop the length of the timeline so that it perfectly fits the layer. So we simply need to select our layer, and I will do that here. Select the layer, and then we need to press IBON, I-B-O-N, in that order. And this is what is going to happen. I'm currently at 1 second and 9 frames. So if I press I, it goes to 0. And then if I say B, it then sets the beginning point of the comp at that in point that I've just selected. O takes us to the out point of the layer that we have selected, and then N sets the end of the comp to that same point. Even though the rest of the timeline is effectively still there, we've now said, actually, I want the work area to be just between this in point and that out point. So IBON, time saver. Let's say we've just been working on this composition and I have the light number 1, I've got this selected. You can see under position there are already 3 keyframes. But let's say, for example, now that those keyframes are there, I actually want to shorten or perhaps lengthen how they interact in the timeline, but I want the relative timing between each of those keyframes to be maintained. The first thing you need to do is actually click on position in this case, and that you can see is now highlighting all of the keyframes. Once you've done that, you then need to come to the very last keyframe. Press and hold Alt, then click on that last keyframe, and now if I move this in, you can see it is moving the other keyframes in relative time to that final keyframe. Or if I drag it out the other way, it's doing the same thing the other way. And if I go to somewhere else, let's say 3D logo, go to U, this has got a few here. So if I actually click on all of those, position, press and hold on Shift and click all of those now, rotation, yep, they're all selected. Press and hold Alt and I select the last keyframe and then drag it out. You can see it's doing the same thing. It is adjusting all of the keyframes across the multiple effects based on the relative timing. So the key point is that you need to select all of the keyframes, press and hold Alt, then click on that final keyframe and drag it wherever you need it to be. Using Command or Control with the plus and the minus, and if I do that, you can see that, zooming in and out with plus and minus, that is for suckers. A faster way of zooming in and out is actually to just use the comma and the full stop, or if you're American, the period. Comma, full stop, comma, full stop, comma, full stop. Okay, so full stop to zoom in, comma to zoom out. Ta-da! So much easier. I'm sure that these tips are going to be useful for you, but just know it really is kind of scratching the surface. There are definitely others that I use quite frequently, and I'd love to share those with you in the future. So if you're interested, then leave a comment down below and let me know. If today's video has indeed been of use to you, then please give me a big old thumbs up down below. And if you think that these tutorials, as well as the other content that I have here on my Waiting to Be Seen channel, is of use to you, then subscribe. All you have to do is click on the big red subscribe button down below, click on the notification bell right alongside that, and join our notification squad. And YouTube, they do the rest. They will let you know as soon as the latest release has gone live. And on that note, I am done for today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you have a brilliant weekend planned and that the week ahead is shaping up to be a bit of a good one as well. And you know what? Look forward to seeing you next time for even more content at Waiting to Be Seen. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you around. Bye.
That's gonna leave a mark.
What?